communication. To hear more stories like this, visit climateconnections.org.
This is KPFT Houston.
Arnie here. Grab a pencil. Your checklist for 5 a.m. Turn off the alarm, pull the covers over your head, feed the baby, clock out of work, head to the drive-in for coffee and a breakfast burrito, and turn on KPFT. The Attitude with Arnie Arneson is back. Radio that delivers life through the lens of politics and policy. But the operative word is life.
Tune into The Attitude with Arnie Arneson, weekday mornings at 5 on KPFT.
You're listening to LivingART on KPFT 90.1 FM, KPFT Houston. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And we got a special guest tonight, but before I introduce Masaya, I want to thank the listeners for donating during the fund drive. That's excellent of you to do that, and LivingART listeners are always the best listeners, the best givers, just all around good-hearted, intelligent people, and very grateful. I'm very grateful, and so is Michael Carson, who tonight happens to still be out on the road with some students learning things about life. So Michael Carson, my co-host, will be back in due time. But as it is, I'll be in the studio with my guest, and we've got a fabulous show, amazing, really. Going to talk about artificial intelligence. We'll be using the I guess it's an acronym, AI, and that's all real cool. And I'll just introduce you to him. He is the director of photography at Long River Music Sessions. It's a channel of Long River Music Group out in Sugar Land. His name is Masaya Tamagai. Welcome to LivingART.
Hey, thank you.
Your first time on the radio.
Yes. Is it obvious?
It's like radio is so 20th century, so 1900. We're going to talk to you about like where the next generation is with regards to finding content to watch and listen to. The great thing about radio, you're quite impressed with the station, this whole setup, right?
I am. Well, this is totally different. I mean, I'm used to cameras everywhere and instruments, so this is definitely a different vibe for sure. Like, it's like, oh, this is the classic stuff here.
We're here on Caroline Street, and we just opened the studio. We kind of got shut down during the COVID pandemic, and we moved here. But it's kind of like what the old school looked like.
Yeah, no. It also like this place reminds me of Oakland, where I'm from. Like, I shouldn't say old looking, but classic looking architecture and stuff like that. Driving up, and almost reminded me of Berkeley, California, where I went to film school and everything.
We have a a radio station out there called KPFA, which is like the mothership for Pacifica. It's the first radio station.
Oh, okay. I saw that, and I didn't know if it was Pacifica in California. I just
We're
assumed.
Pacifica. We're a shoot, you might say, or a family member, but they're the mother, right? Station. So yeah, it's old school. That came out in the 1940s, right after World War I, and it was started by a pacifist, a it came out after World War II, and it was started by a guy who sort of had a problem with war and violence. So, it's old school. And you're going to talk about artificial intelligence tonight.
The new school within the old school setting.
And what about my idea that radio makes things feel more community-like because it's happening now, like a nightly news broadcast? It's happening now, and it's not coming at you pre-programmed like so many podcasts are. And I'm wondering, I know you can get live stream and stuff online, but a lot of, does that matter to you?
It does. I definitely do like the live stuff a lot better, just because there's no room for error. If you drop an F-bomb, you dropped an F-bomb.
Don't do that.
No, I know not to, but I'm just saying, most of the live stuff that I watch is just like, what is he going to do when they mess up?
Or a costume slip.
Yeah. Or not even anything. Just say, malfunction this. And that definitely does give the real aspect of media in general, because if it's pre-recorded, they're like, oh, I messed up, let's rewind and do that take again. It's like, nope, one and done.
So as an audience, you appreciate the live aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just because it definitely does seem more real. There's no like let me re-say that again to make myself sound a lot cooler, or it's like, if you're not cool, then just say it. Yeah.
To me, it's always good because there's something about time. It's immediate. It's like you are part of something that's happening in the now.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
Which is what's happening here on Caroline Street, and why I really hope that more and more of our programs and more what's happening with the media I listen to becomes live. If I have to listen to a show that's pre-recorded, I kind of just like go down and find something else to listen to.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
like during the holidays where the hosts will take vacation and then they'll post the best of some show.
We thought about doing that for the Long River sessions, is try to make the set holiday friendly, but it'd be weird to do something that's Christmas related in November. You know what I mean? So it's like, we're just gonna make it look the same all the time. And we're not gonna try and jump on holidays.
So you're working that same problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so what brings you to Houston? Tell me about your life in Houston.
My life in Houston, well, it didn't start out fun because I moved here about 7-8 years ago, and the main reason I moved out here was because it's so big. You can't throw a rock and hit 3 videographers or graphic designers or anything from where I'm from in Berkeley. Everyone was some sort of artist, so the market was definitely saturated, so I had to fight for gigs or something, or stand out some way. Here I'm free to do whatever I want, and if people want to get me, they can get me, instead of having to go through this person that does this, that person that does this person that does that, or you know what I mean? So it's much easier to find clients out here rather than out in Berkeley, California.
And you're an artist, so tell me about your art.
Oh, well, here, let's start with the art that I learned in school, which is videography. I went to school for documentary work and making short films. Never thought about doing music ever, or filming music, until I came out here and hooked up with my business partner, Tom Meeks, who has his own studio out of his house where we do the sessions. And yeah, that was definitely one of the things that I was lacking in my skills, because I'm relatively decent at video, but my audio wasn't that great. And then Tom came in, and out of the pandemic, that's how it started. Tom Fody was our first session, and then from then we just been doing a session almost 2, 3, 4 times a month, and it's been taken off. But now I was trying to do live shoots at like the Rustic or Bohemios, but eventually it's kind of hard to do multiple cameras in a public space and not get help. So I tried to get more help, but then things fell through, so I decided to crawl back into my cave and discovered AI, which helps me do more things as one person than hiring out a bunch of people. And so from there, I learned how to utilize this to make myself look like a multi-person production house.
So explain crawl back in your cave.
Well, so I used to go out to like either the Rustic or any live venues and just try and shoot stuff and be like, hey, I offer this service. I can film you. Here's the footage. Just let me know if you want more. But I couldn't really get the high quality footage from just one camera, and it's always scary to leave one camera over there surrounded by a bunch of strangers, and I'm over here. It's like if there's little kids running, I don't want them to knock it over.
Right.
So yeah, so now I just try and do stuff by myself, just because I don't want to bother anybody to help me out to do A, B, and C. I'm just like, okay, I can just do this all by myself, and I have my assistant, AI.
Are you happy? Are you sort of a person who is happy being anonymous, or I don't know what to call it? You're not really a recluse, an isolato, but you know, your image of crawling back into a cave suggests that you're happy working quietly in the confines of a small space.
I do. Oh, and also, it just really depends. Like the last South by Southwest that happened, I was brought out there from an old friend of mine from film school to help shoot some Pace magazine stuff. So I definitely do leave the house, but not as often. And honestly, I kind of, in a sense, gave up my social life to learn all this new tech that's coming out. And at first, I didn't think it was going to be anything big, but once they released an open source code where you can run these AI stuff on your computer at home, not connected to the internet, that's when I solidified my spot in my cave for a long time.
Okay, so we're going to, audience, we're going to take this one step at a time. We've got the phrase open source code, and I assume most of my audience would appreciate us picking these things apart. So this is going to be a school of new technology here. And you're listening to Living Art. I'm Michael Woodson, and Masaya Tamagai is my guest, and he belongs to something called Long River Music Group. And where can people sort of find you?
So you can look up Visuals by Masaya. Masaya is spelled Masaya, and that's on pretty much all social media platforms. And Long River Sessions is the channel that I run with my business partner, Tom Meeks, the audio dude, where we invite local Houston acts and film them live there. No, we film them live, but we don't stream it live.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so we're trying to be the Houston's NPR Tiny Desk.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but
back to the coding.
But the coding stuff, my assistant and I we have a channel called Audio Visual Intelligence, which is the similar process, but instead of shooting, I have artists send in their tracks. I obsess over it for a week, listen to the lyrics deeply, and then go from there and try to get a visual going through using Stable Diffusion, which is the AI software that I use on my computer. And
is that open source?
Yes, open source essentially just means that anyone can look at the code to make sure that there's no funny business going on. Meaning,
yeah. What's this code? Go ahead. Meaning.
It just means that you download a bunch of code that someone wrote. You can look through it if you're code savvy to make sure everything's good, and it runs on your computer that way. So most things aren't open source. Like, let's say, I don't know if you heard of like the TikTok thing. It's not open source, but in their terms of service, it says if you download and install this, you can they can track you essentially through everything, whether you're on or off the platform. But it's not open source, so you can't really see what's going on unless you read the fine print. Mm-hmm. So like open source just means everything's open, and everyone can see what's going on under the hood and all that.
Right.
Yeah. And that just gets installed on my laptop or my PC at home.
Stable Infusion.
Stable Diffusion.
Diffusion.
Yeah. There's definitely plenty of diffusion models out there. There's Disco Diffusion and all that, but it essentially does the same thing. You go in there in a prompt box, type in what you want to see, boom, you get it.
Okay, so it's time to do that. So we're going to make create something, and you're using...
Oh, so the one I'm using for today is called Midjourney.
Midjourney.
And there's no website or anything. You just sign up, and it's on Discord, which is like a chat thing, and you just make your own server and stuff like that. So...
All right, so what we're doing, audience, is using his phone, and we're going to create something, God knows what, but we're going to create it with AI. And I guess, first of all, you need to know if you want to work with visual, audio, text, or something. Like, you've got to have a general concept in mind.
Yeah, well, most people just use it to just generate silly pictures.
Pictures, yeah.
And there's definitely the art part of it is not the visuals. It's the language that you use to speak to AI. So you can't. So here, Midjourney is pretty smart in the sense that you can kind of give vague descriptions of what you want to see.
Right.
And it'll give it to you. Stable Diffusion's kind of different in the sense that you have to say like, I want to see a photo of a giant oak tree with half the leaves green and the other half turning orange, and the background will be a nice sunset during golden hour, and I want it to be on the ocean or something like that. And then during in Midjourney you can just type
okay, here's my prompt.
Okay,
so my prompt is cats are great. All right, what I'm looking for is a kind of little 15-second video. And maybe it can have some nice music in the background, but it's going to say cats are great. And then the second image is cats are great readers. And then the third image is don't disturb a cat reading. And so, we're going to start with cat with glasses.
Okay.
So you're going to now you're going to take my little story, this 3-part story, and you're going to turn it into something we don't know what yet, and we're using Midjourney on your phone.
Correct. So I'm going to do, the way to invoke the AI, you have to do a /imagine, and then it'll come up with prompt, and then you just write a cat reading with glasses, and enter. And it takes a while for it to start thinking. Mm-hmm. And it takes a little bit just because there's probably millions of people using this. But other than that, it does a pretty great job. Unfortunately, the thing is, on Midjourney, you can't do video. So I would have to take this into another software. There's a cool software that came out, I think it's called DID, where you can get a picture from Midjourney, put it in there, get audio of you talking or us talking here. Like I could use this audio and get the cat to talk and have their lips move to what we're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
anyway, right now we're kind of dealing with static image.
yes.
Okay.
So
on your phone you've got oh my gosh, you got 4 cats. What are the ones? Is that calico or something?
okay, so because we didn't specify what breed of cat,
right,
it's just going to put up any cat.
We have an orange one and we have a gray and black one, like my cat Rosie. Cool, and they have glasses. And anyway, so that you can capture that image of the cat reading and you can post it somewhere is the idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the weird thing about Midjourney is if you do their paid plan, you can technically use this and sell it, which I don't feel good about that for some reason. I don't know why, but because I technically didn't do this. I told the AI to do this.
Right.
So that's where
you have an ethical problem with that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because so you can pretty much put this on a shirt and boom, mass produce it and blah 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 blah. But I just like it because it looks cool.
Right.
You know, like a cat reading with glasses. How cool is that?
And on the cover of the book it says, "Do not disturb."
So that's another thing. As cool as AI is, it's not the smartest that most people think. It can't write words at all. Like if you put something, let's say a cat reading with glasses, the book should say "Do not disturb."
Right.
It's gonna start freaking out. It's not gonna do it. It's probably gonna just ignore it. Oh, here, let's try it.
It'll just spool. Okay. So we can't have the title on the book yet.
Not yet, but so that's where someone that does graphic design comes in. So you can generate a picture like this, and then I can go into like Photoshop or GIMP and then add the titles that way, and blend the layers and blah blah blah.
Okay.
So it's not just like most people will just generate something and then boom, it's done. Like I try and go in there and put my own twist to it.
Okay, but on your Stable Diffusion, if I want this story and it's going to be something like cats are great readers, and then I want to end with the punchline where the cat's reading a book that's titled "Do Not Disturb." You can make that happen as a sort of meme or something like that.
Kind of. So AI is weird in the sense that you have to be super specific about what you want. So I've been working with an artist. She wants me to pretty much make her photo of Galveston move. I did that, but it doesn't make the picture's waves go back and forth. It'll start to get a little weird, and then it'll start doing its own thing. Even if I put a photo of feet under a Galveston pier, does AI know what Galveston is? Maybe not, but it definitely knows what a pier and a beach and feet look like. Mm-hmm. But the feet's still not perfect. That's like one of the main issues now is if you try to do, or actually 3 months ago, eyes would be like weird and cockeyed all the time. Mm-hmm. But now it's definitely getting way better.
You're talking just months ago.
Yeah, months ago. Like, so that brings me to ChatGPT, which is a chat bot through OpenAI. And once they start using that to teach itself more information, that's when things start to escalate in the sense of getting more and more advanced as the day goes by. Like, I try and keep up with all the AI news, but it's moving so fast that it's definitely like almost head spinning. Because it's like this morning they said that there's a research paper that came out where they hooked up some sort of AI to an MRI, showed a video to the person that's in the MRI, and then AI read the brain waves and then generated the image of what that person is seeing.
Yeah, repeat that. That's hard. Hard to imagine, right? Like what you're saying is you're putting sensors on a person's head, on their brain, and AI is generating the image that they're looking at. So you give this person a picture of a sailboat, and the machine doesn't know what the picture is. So you just have a man hooked up to an MRI looking at a picture of a sailboat, and the computer is generating the picture from the man's mind.
Yes, it's like science mind reading.
Did you actually see the results? They've got to be pretty crude.
They're crude, but you can definitely still be able to tell what they're looking at. So
that's crazy. Just from the heat in your brain, they can draw a picture.
Yeah, I know, dude.
Or whatever, I'm calling it heat, the calories or the
whatever
firings.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting even crazier. But I think it's still far from taking anyone's jobs. If anyone's going to take anyone's job using AI, it's whoever knows how to use AI.
Yeah. I wonder if you're not looking at a picture, but just imagining something.
I don't even want to think about that, but I'm pretty sure it can be done. Because, yeah, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be able to be used for like malicious intent, just because I don't think there's a portable MRI machine. I don't even know what MRI is. I know it's like a tube or something that you go into, right?
It's magnetic, yeah. I think it's creating images through magnetic pulses.
MRI is the one that like scans your whole body and sees what your brain. Yeah. It's still pretty crazy.
So what are some other really cool news items that you bring with you? ChatGPT, what I use that for is before I used to have to endlessly search Google for the right workout routine. Okay. So what I did yesterday, because I was like, hey, what I put into ChatGPT was I told that you are a fitness instructor. I need a workout routine for someone that's in their late 30s, early 40s. Their left elbow is achy, and want a meal plan. And from there, you can get something, but you can get even more specific. That sounds pretty random. You're trying to trick it?
No, I'm not trying to trick it. Okay, so here, let's back up a little bit. So ChatGPT was trained on, from what they say, I think from 2020 to the beginning of time, knows most main information. So if you ask something about so it definitely knows a lot of stuff, and you can ask it to do that. And one prompt that I heard about, you can ask it like, hey, I'm a videographer, I need help marketing. What are the best prompts that best use ChatGPT to utilize utilize the most out of ChatGPT? And it'll pump out a bunch of prompts, and it'll say, you can ask it, write me or schedule or what. Yeah, so my mind's all getting crazy because I'm getting excited.
I like it.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm like,
you got too much going on.
Yeah. See, if I was an AI robot, I'd just be like, no. Yeah.
You'd be spooling.
Yeah, I'd be spooling, but because I'm still human, I have to slow down. I'm like, okay, all right. So, yeah. So it's interesting how you have to communicate with AI to get the best results, because sometimes you can just ask it regular questions, and they do this thing called hallucinations, where they'll spit out information that is super inaccurate, but say it with such confidence, or type it in such confidence that most people will just take it for real. But it's been known to pump out like false information all the time.
Well, you were saying about the Pentagon.
Yeah. So recently, someone generated an image of an explosion happening at the Pentagon, right? Most, if not everybody within the AI community immediately saw that and was like,
"That's fake."
Yeah. But the funny thing is, it went viral because all these giant news people shared it, and so that caught on, and now everybody's like, what's going on here?
They shared it as a piece of AI, or
no? They shared it thinking it was real.
Oh my God! They got fooled. Okay, back to the guy with the bad elbow.
Me? No, sorry. Yeah. So actually, I think I have it on here.
What point were you illustrating with the Chat GPT? And
the point was, it can be your assistant in every way. Like, instead of searching mindlessly on Google looking for that perfect workout regimen and the perfect meal plan to go with that workout regimen is, let's say, annoying, because you're going to have to read a bunch of articles, look for, what kind of exercises can I do with a dinged up elbow,
right? Or
what kind of advice can someone give me? And then going through all these forums and blah 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 blah. But
it hones your focus.
Yeah.
Brings to a fine point your focus.
Only if you ask the right question with that amount of focus. And then you can just say, make me a workout routine, 3 days a week, strength training, 60 to 60 minutes a day.
Will it ask you back if it needs more information?
No, you have to tell it to ask you. So you have to pretty much idiot-proof it, because this all-knowing AI is still not human and can't, it can only spit out information. So yeah, and then so another thing that I do with it,
with ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT is pretty much write out. So if I were to start my own thing like this, and I have no idea where to start, and I have a pretty cool guest, and I have no idea what kind of questions to ask, I'm going to ChatGPT. I have a guest that does A, B, and C. What are some good questions to ask? And then I'm like, okay, well, here's a bunch. And then I could say, and it'll give me 10 questions. But I don't like 3, 7, and 9. Rewrite that. And it'll rewrite it. And so you can pretty much do and ask it pretty much anything. It's like an interactive Google where you don't have to really search everything. And there's other things that you can do, is like copy and paste articles in there and be like, please summarize this and explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old kid. And boom, no big words.
You're listening to Living Art. I'm talking to Masaya Tamagai. And do you, on 90.1 FM, KPFT Houston, do you ever, I have a friend who gave me a great phrase. He said he was a little worried and he didn't know if it should be called artificial intelligence or prosthetic intelligence. So what you were just saying there is, you're needing to come up with some questions. You're the host of a show and you're like, I don't have time to research this. And you just say, do this interview for me. Give me 10 questions quick. And it does. So that's not me in real time. That's, a crutch.
Yes. But you can go even deeper. And if you're interacting with ChatGPT a lot, you can say, you can have it mimic your writing style, your tone, and everything. So you can pretty much clone yourself as an AI.
It makes my point.
Yeah. So
No, I understood that. Like, if you get the higher paid version of it, you can say write it as a drunk eighth grader.
So my favorite one that I've been doing recently is reply to me only in Old English.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't understand anything because it's like all these words that I've never heard of before. Like, I don't
Is
even
it
know.
like Chaucerian, or is it even before Chaucerian English?
Yeah.
They look, if it looks like a form of English, then it's Chaucerian.
Yes, it's a
probably.
form. It's like, thou and shalt,
Yeah.
almost like Bible talk, but
Yeah.
but there's definitely all kinds of weird words I've never seen. So, and then you can even have it talk to you in a pirate and all that, but that's more entertainment, if anything.
Well, I definitely have, and you don't have to comment on this, but I definitely have the proclivity to check out. And, if I'm just not into the content, or if maybe it's depression, could be anything, could just be intelligence enough to know that, let someone else do the work, the way that Tom Sawyer got his friends to paint the fence, by telling them that it was a game. There's a certain point where, you ought to push yourself a little bit, and maybe using AI itself can involve this push to be human, but you certainly don't want to lose that.
No, definitely not. I mean, I still purchase art from humans and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, and I use it in that way for fun. If anything, what I use it mainly for is, like, if I'm writing something, I'm not really the greatest at grammar and punctuation on writing. So it's like a smarter, what do you call it? An editor, I guess? Yeah.
But you know what I mean about quitting and the sort of cheating, right? That you're really not trying. And if you tempted me with AI when I was in 6th grade, I could see it being really, I guess the word is depressing, like you just want someone else to do it.
With that said, I think, I don't know if it's in high school in Houston or a class in U of H, a professor is flunking everybody because he assumes that everyone used ChatGPT to write essays or their final papers.
Well, that's still coming. I do teach, and I have a tool which catches plagiarism. That's not why I use it. It's another story. I don't have a problem with plagiarism because I think if you explain the task at hand, they won't the students won't plagiarize. I mean, it's one thing to buy somebody else's paper. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about knowing to, like, identify the source while you're typing it. It's not that much effort to, like, remember, put the person's name in the text. So that's often the problem with plagiarism. But I didn't want to talk about plagiarism. This tool that we have to submit papers called Turnitin will catch them with artificial intelligence. There's a special tag there now which just came out, like, talk about new, maybe February or something. I saw this because the students submit their papers through this tool, and I don't really know where that stands because you got to interact with the students. You got to say, hey, 54% of your paper indicates AI. So I'm just informing you now. Like, we don't know where this is going. So
there are software out there to catch AI in essay writing and stuff like that. So I can definitely show you that if you need to use it.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And basically you just go back to ChatGPT is the standard device, and then sort of read your prompt into it. And when you get a reply, you'll see, like, it's like the student who did the same. So that's a different story. I didn't bring you in to talk about student cheaters, but it is.
But it's part of it.
A big concern. Maybe we can talk about the positive side of that, which is, okay, it exists. So how are you going to use it to help students write better?
Yeah, so you can definitely. So that's the unfortunate thing about all this AI. I think they prematurely released it to the public because there's no regulations on anything. There's and people are doing or saying that it's writing fake and propaganda stuff during elections or something like that in other countries, and so there. I definitely agree with that. They need to have some sort of regulation as far as like writing papers also.
Because it's yourself. I mean, my point is it's very, like, it's disgusting if you think you're getting away with it or that, like, you're the smartest guy in the room because, you know, you're making an A and you're not even trying. And that's all disgusting. But really, the bigger thing is, look, this is you. And whatever that means in, like, May 31st at 7:39 in the evening, you know, this is Masaya talking, and you are you.
Yeah.
And that's what you miss with Chat GPT. You can if they cheat. It's sad.
Yeah.
You know, it's really like not acceptable. I can't go that way.
No, I agree. I mean, like, I would never send an email using ChatGPT. Like, all the emails we sent back and forth, that was really me. I didn't, you know, if I might have to, like, if I'm going to write a post on Facebook, I'll write it in my way. I was like, hey, just correct this. Make sure
what is really you? That's the question. You know, that's like very important because, you know, if you take a broader look at things, you know, you do have to like question just how much individuality there is in life.
No,
What is this thing where I can surrender it, like where I, Michael Woodson, just think that like it's important to try.
Yeah. Oh.
To be yourself, to generate your own human experience, but maybe, you know, I'm just racking my brain for nothing, and I'm neurotic. I can go, you know, I can talk about this stuff.
But how do you think most people really know who they are? I'm 38 and I'm still trying to find myself.
Well, I know that I've done the show, and if you bring in a script and I ask you a question and you read it, I think it's terrible radio.
Yeah, well, I don't. Yeah, no. I definitely try to be real in real life.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what is that moment where you're actually real
right now?
And when you use AI. There ought to be. We're hoping that, you know, it is compatible with that moment of being human.
Yeah, no, I definitely try to keep it real all the time. But
well, who wants to hear someone else's answer? Like if I'm talking to you and you're reading everything and it was all generated from AI. You know, like the point would have to be, that's interesting because, but it's not interesting just that you're reading or something is pre-generated automatically for you.
So what do you think, like in the next couple years, ChatGPT can write almost 98% human-like? You know what I mean? Like, would you be able to tell if I went home or before I came here, I'd like memorize the script that ChatGPT wrote for me.
Right.
But I put my emotion into it and not read it like a robot. Like, how would anyone be able to tell? Like, I'm sometimes on the internet, I will like to troll people. And so I'll have ChatGPT write a super metaphoric nonsense reply to like bots on stuff. And it's like, what is this guy saying? But I think it's funny. Either way.
You have the GPT write nonsense.
Yeah. Well, if here, this is what I say all the time. If you ask me a stupid question, I'm going to give you a stupid answer.
That's a really good policy.
Yeah. So I might as well make it sound overly AI'd and give a stupid, super long paragraph
I need to friend you on your social media to see what this means.
Yeah, no, please do. 'Cause, it's mostly on Instagram because, if I post something, it's like, DM at HoustonArtClub.com or whatever. I don't know if you're on Instagram. So anytime I post anything, it's like all these bots will go on there and try and spam everything. Like, oh, yeah, you have great art. Go and send it here. And then I tried to talk to one of those people, and they want like $1,000 to promote it on their page. I'm like... No, dude.
It doesn't hurt. It's still legal to ask.
Yeah, it is. It is. But, if you do one post and one real person is commenting and 9 of the rest is all like,
generated. Okay, so let's get back to your art. And you're using this thing called Stable Diffusion. And you've got some videos that you're going to share with our audience if they want to check it out. I mean, I've written these things down because I don't have the memory I used to have. But as I watched your more than half a dozen videos, I saw mechanical dogs, squid fish-like people. Things were kind of surreal. They were kind of sketched. They were... some of it had to do with like strobe and disco imaging, and where I thought really a fabulous image was every time the disco strobe flashed, the face of the dancer, which was very sensuous, like turned into the next sensuous thing. And
glad you caught that.
That was a good one, and kind of like shape shifting and. So where can the audience see that, and what the heck were you, how did you do that?
So you can find the channel. It's called Audio Visual Intelligence. And so the one that you're talking about where the disco dancing thing, that was a test because at the time they said that you can film video and run it through Stable Diffusion, and it'll put a style on there, and that's what that was. And the prompt for that was, I think it was like dripping colorful paint, and then so it took the video and made it dripping and colorful. And so that's the thing that I've been trying to work on the most is trying to use what I know for shooting video and then putting whatever style on there.
So that's what you do is you shoot a video, and anybody could do it on their iPhone, and then go ahead. Kind of. So all this is free, but what's not free is you have to have a pretty beefy computer. Okay. So that's the imagine catch. Yeah. So beefy would cost you $3,000.
No, I mean, it just really depends on how much time you have. So the past couple days I've been generating like 3-minute videos, and they've been taking 3 hours. So 1 hour a minute, depending. But that's like at its lowest settings.
For it to just generate what you're asking it to do.
So the squid people, that was all that wasn't. I didn't have a video input on that. That's all AI stuff.
AI. So you said, give me squid people. Can you run us through a little bit about, I think people can have our listeners have a very clear image of shape-shifting squid people. So how did that go?
So what I do, my process is I would obsess over a song that an artist sent me, and then I try and get a feel for what that is. And I don't know why, but I got a feel for squid people for that one. And so what I think I did was, at first, I wanted an underwater scene with a band full of octopus, and that's what it gave me. So I said, punk rock band. All the members are octopus playing instruments underwater, and that's what I put. Try to keep it simple because but I wasn't specific enough, so it gave me a band with half people, half octopus. Not 2 humans and 2 octopus, but a hybrid of some sort, and that's what I got.
Okay.
And then so you can also.
How long does that take before you realize that's not what I want? Is that?
Well, that's another downfall of it. So if you're going to do that, the first 3-4 images could look really good, and then AI will go on its own way and then end up getting all really weird and make no sense.
Not what you want. This is
not what I want.
The trick is to control it.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, so let's say I'm 2.5 hours in, and the last 30 minutes is just garbage. I pretty much have to start over again. So what I'm trying to do now with my workflow is I'll generate an image first and then make sure that I like what that's showing. And then I'll go in and generate a 30-second clip and make sure that's going in the right way. If not, back to doing the image. And then there's these things called seeds, which is a number that you input, and it gives a different pattern of noise for the AI to regenerate into an image. So you have to constantly change that, and there's a lot of trial and error to getting the perfect image that you want. And 9 times out of 10, it's not perfect. It's still 80% perfect, because it's to know how to speak to AI perfectly is a skill in its own. So it's, I think, in a sense, it's like one of those weird Greek mythology where the guy goes into the top of the mountain and try and communicate with the oracle or something like that, and the oracle is AI. So it's like,
well, your school was YouTube University, so it's like
sorry.
So you're kind of an autodidact, and I'm wondering then this trial and error thing. I wanted to ask you. What are the advantages and the drawbacks to learning on your own as you go, and what do you think would be like if a professor was, giving you some shortcuts on this?
Well, I don't think there's a class that has AI that's teaching AI like this, just because it's only a year old. Like all this stable diffusion stuff is a year old as far as in the public. Other than that, like.
It's just that new. There's no graphic design. I bet there's got to be some. I don't want to. Your answer stands, but there's got to be some hints that you get from knowing various graphic design tools that help you. Yeah.
So I took to it really well once I found out that you can manipulate the camera movements within it, like you saw in all the other videos. So. Because of my background in film, I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to get the subject in that corner of the rule of thirds, or get the composition right.
What's the rule of thirds?
The rule of thirds, so when you take a picture on your camera and it has like the 3 bars. Mm-hmm. So if you put the subject in intersecting lines, that's the rule of thirds, because apparently your eye naturally goes to those points.
Okay.
So
sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah. And so, try to apply what I know as far as video composition and lighting and all that to this.
And then eventually either it will come up to speed, or you will get up to speed to be able to be better at getting the very thing that you're looking at. But there must be lots of times where you're like, that's damn cool. It's beyond, there's a certain disappointment where you're saying that's not what I had in mind, but there's a lot of this. Yes, this is totally something I can work with.
Yeah. So the thing is, for most images that you can generate, they're usually damn cool, but eventually damn cool is going to get boring. So I try and tease myself with these videos and generate these videos, because it takes 3 hours for it to do a 3-minute video. And I'm like,
at what point will you be able to actually do, because I saw that you help people with storyboarding, at what point will you be able to do your own movie totally from your mind? The images being created by AI and yeah.
So there are lots of software programs and websites out there now that you can do text to video. So right now, what I'm doing is still text to image, but it's generating one image. So I try
and make it fluid. That's what I see when I look at your.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So now there's these things called there's a website called Kyber AI where you can say a man dancing and it'll be a man dancing. So if I do it on Stable Diffusion, it's like one frame of him doing this. But in Kyber, you can do fluid movements.
Is that open source, Kyber?
No. So I try not to use that. Because it's like, I don't know.
Because it costs, right? A lot.
No. I think it's like $20-$30 a month.
Okay.
But then the thing is, if you can afford that or not, the people running the websites don't have the computational power to run it. So with these things, I can either have it run on my beefy computer, but there are services out there where you can essentially rent computer power. Like RunPod, so you can run whatever you want on there and have it not have to wait 3 hours, but it's going to be like 70 cents an hour or a minute or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's definitely ways to do it out there. But no, when I do storyboards, I'll use Midjourney also. And I can't draw for nothing. So I might as well just have someone else draw it for me. And if I can't afford them, I'll just like, all right, here you go.
So how do you draw then? You just say draw a foot?
No. When I say traditional storyboarding is drawn. So now I'm like, all right, my storyboards look cool. Because before my storyboards would just be me snapshots, but no one ever wants to do pre-production to go do scout locations and be like, all right, we need to take a picture of you here for a storyboard. So so I can do the whole process of filmmaking, doing a short film, all by myself within using AI as an assistant, and then I'll go out there and film it. But I still write scripts and stuff like that, so everything that I can't do, I'll have AI do for me. And that's like, all right, cool. Unless you can see the visuals of what the process is, Well, if anyone wants to come and help me out, I'm always down.
Yeah. Give the audience your contact information. I think we have just 3 or 4 minutes left.
Yeah, well, like I said, if anyone wants to find me, it's Visuals by Masaya. My YouTube channel, Facebook, and Instagram's kind of boring, but if you want to see something more exciting, you can look up Audio-Visual Intelligence. Well, yeah, hit me up. If you want to talk about it, I'll teach you everything I know. I like to give secrets out, Hollywood secrets and all that, so... Yeah.
That's good. What do you think about all this apocalypse stuff? Like we have to worry about nuclear war. We have to worry about epidemics, pandemics, the Ebola virus. We have to worry about what else is out there?
AI is out there.
Global warming, and now it's AI. What do you think about? Like that's the hot story this week is the need to regulate.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know. Like it's that takes up too much of my time thinking about it. I might as well just use that time to like create cool looking stuff and be like, hey, here you go, man. I can make you something cool.
You're not going to be bothered by stories of the end of the world?
No, I don't. I mean, I see enough of that reading all this news about AI. Like, it's not going to take over.
But this is not just, let me read this. The CEOs of 3 top AI companies have signed a warning about the risk of artificial intelligence. And, that comes along with, like, some of the great minds who invented it, right, are saying, whoa, this stuff is kind of scary.
Well, I think it's scary because human stupidity is real. Because, I mean, this powerful tool can, given to the wrong hands or someone that's, I don't know, a little weird, I guess, can definitely do bad stuff with it. I mean, one guy tried to make a chaos AI using ChatGPT. It failed miserably. It was like, all right, do everything you can to destroy humanity. You know what it ended up doing? It just started posting nonsense on Twitter.
Okay.
That's really what it did. And I was like,
how could you tell the difference?
A for effort, guy. Yeah, nice try.
Okay, let me tune up the goodbye music here and one more time, why don't you tell the audience where they can reach you?
Visuals by Masaya, Masaya. Thank you.
All right, and you're listening to Living Art on KPFT
In that rice
Houston 90.1.
field in the distance, up around the bend.
Howdy, friends. This is Brian Blake, and you're listening to KPFT Houston.
And now, Houston's only primetime radio program dedicated to news and concerns of the lesbi, gay, and transgender community.